This is going to be all about designing your sequences and using signal-based AI to identify the right prospects, right? Because we have um, ultimately, prospects that are in market, prospects that are not in market. How do we find those people that are in the market that are interested in connecting with us? So the fortress and the infrastructure is built. We've got 100% deliverability. Now we're going to be talking about the radar signals, and the goal is to find qualified and in-market buyers. And make sure to stay till the end, because everyone who stays gets the AI build along video and how to build an AI research assistant in Apollo, and then the trigger-based script vault. So, state of modern outbound. So, why blind volume is dead? So, prospects today, right? We're all are all being bombarded with generic pitches over email. Email is the most widely adopted prospecting and sales channel. And so the problem isn't volume, it's that it's blind volume, right? Sending 1,000 generic emails to anybody and everybody in a company that might be a target is what burns your domain and your reputation. We want to be more intentional than that. So the antidote lies in mastering two complementary disciplines that are working in harmony together. We have the waterfall approach, which we talked about in the last session. This is smart volume using programmatic personalization to surface hand raisers from the 97% of the market. And then we also have the sniper signal precision approach, which is using deep research and high touch sequences to convert the 3% of the buyers who are showing active intent. And so when you master both, you stop guessing. You actually use the waterfall to find the signal, to get the data, and then to use the sniper approach to ultimately book the meeting. And the result is more predictable pipeline. So let's jump into it, right? So we've got the waterfall, 97%. This is high volume, low touch. The sniper approach is low volume, high touch. The goal for waterfall is hand raisers and intent, whereas the goal for the sniper approach is converting active intent into meetings. And so we're doing a quarterly touch with the waterfall approach, and then we're doing like essentially a 1 month approach with uh, the the sniper approach. And it's not just all email. It's email, it's phone, it's LinkedIn. Maybe it's even gifting if you want to target some high value accounts there. And so the waterfall is what we use to find the signal, and then we move them into the sniper sequence to book that meeting.
Hey, Mark, really quick. I think Matthew Berkowitz had a question in the chat for the previous slide, but I think you mentioned this in the last presentation. But waterfall approach, he was asking, are you saying like quarterly approach would be like just one touch point per quarter for like light signal building? Is that what you're kind of recommending?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
because it's not like this is inbound marketing, right? Where we are getting interest, or referrals. We are reaching out to people who appear to be a fit, and appear to be qualified for what we're trying to offer in our solution. But the timing is usually not going to be right. And we can't force them to have timing, right? Even if we email them, 25 times in 25 days. So taking a patient approach where we are emailing them once, every quarter, keeps our deliverability high because we're not emailing them at such a high volume that they're getting annoyed. And the emails that we're sending are valuable and relevant. And so every single quarter, we're taking the emails that we're sending and we're evaluating and hypothesizing why those were successful, and we're modifying the content to get better and better every quarter. Every quarter, we're getting more insights, more signals, and we're pivoting based on that. What's
Demand
working?
demand capture versus demand generation, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we focus on targeting, then we focus on messaging, we focus on our tools and infrastructure, and then we optimize and scale. That's ultimately the process that we're going for here. And this is how we escape just getting the 1% reply rates, less than 1%. Most people I'm talking to today are getting less than a 0.5%. And so we just have to do things differently. Then we have to do it differently than we've done it before. And so, Jason, you want to talk about decoding buying signals and maybe some of the intent data available in Apollo?
Yeah, a lot of what's changed over the last few years is the capabilities of AI and being able to surface these signals on the open web and knowing how to prompt in a platform like Apollo or in if you're in your Chat GPT or your Claude, what do you search for? How do you actually scale that going forward? Apollo has multiple ways that we do it where we actually incorporate those research prompts into workflows and into identifying that audience. And so I always tell teams that, it's flipped the way that we've done outbound. It used to be that high volume approach. Now we flip that volume into AI doing the research for us. Is it finding the right audience for us? What signals are you, if you think about, what you're looking for on the open web, if you had all the time in the world to research on a prospect or a company, how do we turn that into a prompt that we can then automate for you in Apollo, surface all of those, attach them to leads, and ultimately allow you to use something like prompt-based sequences that writes a unique email to each and every prospect that you're going out to. It's going to help with the whole first section of deliverability and make sure that the message you're delivering resonates. And you've got, if you're multi-threading to a company and you've got 5 different emails that are delivered to that individual with the signals that we've gathered, what we're seeing is the actual reply rates going up even in this world where, things are getting filtered out at higher rates every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually like using intent data for qualification now, not so much, identifying the right contacts at the right time. I do think that there's definitely some merit to intent data and people being in market and interested, but because of how widely accessible intent data is now, those prospects are, if anything, getting more outreach than 97% of the people that are not in market. So what I like to do is create just target list segments. So if they're consuming these intent topics from LeadSift or Bombora, both of the intent data providers in Apollo, more are probably coming soon in the future, I'm sure. But then what we can do is identify, oh, this company is obviously a fit if they're searching for this particular type of software or this particular type of service. So that means that we can create lookalike companies from this. We can identify that maybe we take this long-term nurture strategy with this company because they might be getting reached. Maybe we take a different approach. Maybe we do some gifting or we do some LinkedIn outreach. We have to just change our approach and do a different strategy to get noticed. And just also to let you guys know, everybody that joins the webinar will be getting all the resources and the replay as well. So all these sessions are recorded and you'll be getting access. And Audrey, just give me a minute to find out the settings for the chat. I just looked and I wasn't seeing any obvious way to do that unless you can find some instructions for me. So cool. So moving on.
I'd say just keep questions in the Q&A that's opened up right now.
Yeah.
So all good.
Yep.
Thanks, y'all.
This is something that I was excited to share with you guys, which is these are the 6 revenue plays to help you stop guessing and start targeting people. These are probably some of the most popular plays that you can run. So finding companies that are your competitors or offering similar solutions that are giving bad reviews, right? So you can say that you saw that this competitor had a particular feature that was missing, and we actually built that feature in our platform. You might be interested in taking a look. That's one play that you might be able to run. Champion tracking is one of the best ones. You can actually do this in Apollo, which is really cool. You can go in and instead of targeting a specific company, you can put that their past company is, Google or Microsoft or whatever it is, and target only people in your list that used to work at that company. And ideally, you're putting all of your current clients that you're working with now in that list because you can target people that have moved on. All you need to do is filter the list by the right job titles for people that are going to be an influencer or a user of your solution, right? So that way we're targeting the right people and ask them, hey, do you have any experience working with us in your last company? What are you doing for ABC solution in your current company? Another thing is like if you provide a service that a specific role completes, like maybe, I don't know, IT services, for example, if someone is hiring for an IT role, then that's a pretty good indication that they might be interested in working with you because you can give them a whole department or team of resources um, that for the cost of a single person, right? And same goes for anything else, right? Like if I was doing this for us, I might look for companies hiring business development reps or sales leadership. It doesn't have to be the job necessarily too, but like if you provide a solution to the sales or the marketing department or dev, if they're hiring somebody that's overseeing that department, they typically are making changes. They have budget, and so there might be some new priorities that you could identify and get in on by also doing that too. You can look at job openings in Apollo too.
You think like I don't know, sorry, I don't want to derail you, Mark. Like Jason, like really creative signals that you've built custom beyond something beyond some of these that are, I mean, these are obviously, I think the hit list for sure, but like any like just I don't know, from a custom research standpoint that you've been working on lately that would be like a really cool creative signal that you're doing custom with custom AI prompts.
Yeah, a lot of what we're doing is taking closed won deals and deconstructing those. What led that customer through that journey? What happened? What information did you gather? How do we turn that into research that we can gather for your segments of your audience? And we build those into layers, and ultimately those are tied into live scores in Apollo. So you're able to actually see those live with any list that you build. And being able to create a custom score is something that we've done in the last 6 months. So anything that can be, an AI research prompt to any of the filters that Apollo offers can be built into a custom score. So taking time there holds a lot of value when you're building a list.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and so lookalike play is to that same flavor. In Apollo, you can actually there's a column now or a filter in the people and companies tab that says lookalike companies. And so you can just put your clients in there and it will find companies that are similar to those organizations based on industry, company size, keywords that are mentioned in their profile or on their website. So these are all things that can help increase the quality of the people that you're reaching out to. There's also news monitoring, so you can monitor for leadership changes, you can monitor for mergers and acquisitions. Uh, there's like I think 10 or 11 or something different types of news signals that you can monitor inside of Apollo, which is really cool. And you can create signals out of those that identify who on the list of target accounts that you're reaching out to is actually hiring right now or going through a high growth phase in their business. These are all things that are accessible in there. And then website visitors, de-anonymizing visitors and companies within the Apollo website visitor section. And so all you have to do is enable this tool, turn it on inside the platform, and give your website developer the pixel, and you can start seeing in Apollo the companies that are visiting your website, and then you can filter those organizations down by the job titles that you typically talk to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a huge one. Jason, I know you can probably speak to this too, but like when we're setting up new outbound strategies, Mark, like that's typically the lowest hanging fruit. If you've got any critical mass of inbound traffic, setting them up, qualifying them through any of that inbound, and then turning it into inbound led outbound and reaching out to them, making sure that anybody who didn't convert on your site is getting some specific one-to-one outreach.
yeah.
And running simple qualification layers, which company is visiting your site? Do they actually match your ICP? Doing a simple filter there so that you're not just bulk sending any emails out to anybody that reached your site. Make
Right.
sure that you're instituting a smart filter there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Inbound, I'll say it later, you get what you get. So yeah, definitely don't just, engage every one of
Hmm.
them for sure.
Absolutely. And is there a charge for that? How much does that cost for the website visitor functionality?
It is. Is it 129, 149?
The
Yeah,
price of
okay.
one seed, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, and that's for the whole team, right? The whole org. Awesome.
Correct.
Yeah, and so that's pretty inexpensive compared to other tools that are out there that do the same technology, and they don't integrate with Apollo either. So Apollo is able to charge less and integrate it all into the same platform, just to make it easy, to consolidate on tools. So moving on here, we'll talk about the multi-wave intelligence protocol. So this is going from guessing to knowing. There are some different prompts. and intelligence pages that Jason has put together to use Apollo to actually search for hidden web context. So not just basic LinkedIn data. This is what I would say is like the ultimate cheat code. So we start with company foundation. We reveal real-time signals like LinkedIn or Indeed or Google News. There's tech and competitive insights, contact deep dives, and then validation and synthesis. Jason, which one of the um, sections do you want me to go into first? Those
The
crossing.
starting point would be that foundation, making sure that we've got all the data that is going to feed those future layers is super important. So if you look at the deep intelligence scan, that's our universal starting point. And this needs to be customized for who you serve and what you do. And so there's options in here and just kind of best practices as to how we surface all of these items on the open web. Apollo is going to give you access to Perplexity for web search. And so this first layer, I want it to be as inclusive as possible. We want to be able to find everything that we can on these leads and these companies. And this output is going to be a big block of text that's AI editable for the rest of our entire process. And so this moves you through and informs all the rest of it. And most importantly, it turns into a custom scoring metric that we use to actually, prioritize all the leads that you've got in any list, any segment, your TAM.
Absolutely. Cool. And let's jump back to that. This would be like a sample output. Would give you the executive summary, signal strength score, intelligence findings, uh,
And we've
background.
got this universal resource that everyone will get after this call. We also customize these for teams, and so that's a lot of what we do here at the GTME side of Apollo, is making sure you've got all the materials you need to be able to institute a high-end AI campaign. Think of it as ABM, but with an AI flair. And
Hmm.
so we want to help you be able to use AI using all of the tips and tricks that we've gone through the last 6 months. And we're always trying new things, and you all get to benefit from that.
All this stuff is actually actively informing the product development team as well, right, Jason? I mean, this is all bleeding edge, actual sales use cases, whereas I think a lot of other solutions are kind of built in a silo on just technical capabilities. This is all like in practice, what's working in the GTME and like outbound sales space as well.
Hmm. What about the waterfall enrichment guide or the custom meeting insights? Should we go over those at all?
Yeah,
Or
let's go ahead and click through those because they'll all get access to these resources. We've got best practices for all features of Apollo so that you guys are able to really hit the ground running once you sign in. Waterfall is something that we just started, almost 6 months ago. And so we've got the actual order that the provider should go in depending on where you're targeting leads. We've got North America, APAC, all of the regions of the entire globe. And so we've got the actual order of those, who's going to give you the best contact information, and ultimately just overall best practice is making sure you've got a validation layer in there. And we've got that for both email and for phone numbers. Let us do the work for you. Let's make sure that email address is correct. Don't waste an email attempt or a phone call on somebody that doesn't have a good phone number. And that's what Waterfall has enabled for us.
Mhm. Awesome. So, um, how should they use these resources?
A lot of it is just making sure that you've got all the providers listed. Think about it. It's going to guide you through. You're only going to be charged credits for the context that we find. And so there's no harm in setting up. If you click on the regional guides there, it'll take them through and just kind of tells you, what type
Nice.
of coverage you'll get from our waterfall providers. Paulo has great match rates, but this is going to fill any gaps that you might have. So if you tried Apollo out a couple years ago, our match rates have drastically increased using this. And really, it ends up being about the same cost overall. You might get one provider that is going to charge you 2 or 3 credits more, but that's a verified email address or contact data that you're able to take with you going forward.
Nice. Sounds good. All right, so now we'll talk about the messaging framework. So the trigger, the meaning, the help, and the CTA. So this is a guide on how you take those buying signals and turn them into messages so that a busy prospect can understand. And so it just makes it easier for people to understand what you're offering, And so the trigger is proving that you did your homework. It anchors the outreach to a verifiable fact. We are translating that into a plausible pain or priority that shows empathy. So if they just rolled out HubSpot that we noticed from one of these signals, or they just hired a new, CIO or something, we can point to that. And then when the meaning is that usually this means this onboarding cycle doubles for enablement teams because they have to manage this expansion, this new tool. How we help is we position the product as a relief valve without a feature dump. Our playbook shaves 40% off ramp time, cuts their uh, onboarding time from 12 to 7 weeks, and then we give them an easy, low risk next step. Mind if I send over some additional info about how it usually works? And so that is so much better than a meeting because people are less likely to say yes to a meeting and more likely to say yes to something very low commitment, like sending over some additional information. Because once we give them that additional info, we can call them, we can reach out, and that just starts the conversation. That's what we're trying to do to maximize our email reply rates and our engagement rate, is just start the conversation. And so this is an example 28-day dynamic sequence where we are doing multi-channel outreach for a high intent prospect that is showing both intent and engagement. We could use email, call, LinkedIn. We can do all sorts of things, like just try different messaging angles and connect with multiple people. So this is something you can screenshot, and we'll also include in some of the resources that we provide to you at the end of this session. But we will have pause triggers, which is we stop the sequence if the prospect replies or visits the website. We have accelerate triggers, which is moving them to the next call or the next step. If another trigger happens, and then the batching hack. So we pre-write modular snippets so that each touch takes less than 90 seconds. We can just populate that snippet or that email template into Apollo, so that we're able to personalize on the fly at scale. So the AI-powered prospecting stack is layering intelligence for scale. And so we want to research faster by using Apollo's AI research. You can scan 10Ks, earnings calls, and things like that in seconds to identify strategic risks or tech stack changes, things that identify alignment with your solution. You can write better email by using Apollo's AI to write emails based on the trigger, meaning, help, CTA framework to generate personalized emails. And then we can also close bigger by using AI to analyze call strips, transcripts, and then extract key objections or competitors or commitments, and then auto-generate proposals and mirror the prospect's exact language and priorities. And so those are some of the best use cases and most popular use cases for Apollo's AI right now.
And real quick, I kind of harped on it earlier, but like the research faster and just opening up everyone's mind on really your curiosity is the limit. I mean, if it's open web, if it's searchable, if it exists out there in any reasonable capacity, you can find it and pull it in to a upfront research of a campaign. One thing that we ran in my past life here at Apollo was a retail-based campaign going after retail coffee companies, coffee shops, and we wanted to weed out those that were doing their own roasting and those that weren't doing their own roasting. And we're actually able to build an entire campaign and a signal around just whether or not they were advertising that they roast their own coffee in-house. About as niche as it gets, but if you can do that, then you can really, you can do quite a lot. And then also the upfront research that you're using to qualify, that makes the message pretty self-evident on what that needs to be, right? So just wanted to kind of bring that home.
Awesome. Jason?
Yeah, I completely agree, Michael.
Awesome. Cool. So moving on here, we talked about prospecting stack, layering intelligence. Next, we're going to be talking about your final playbook, which is the new prospect operating system. So you're going to track 3 to 5 core signals, focusing on signals tied to best wins. So job changes, intent spikes, tech installs, funding events, all the most relevant signals for you. You're going to align messaging to those different triggers by making sure the message actually connects to that trigger and the priority. Nothing generic here. And then we also want to orchestrate high touch sequences across multiple channels. So we're going to accelerate that engagement and get people to qualify for interest by leveraging those different channels to find out what communication channel is most effective for our market. And then let AI handle all the heavy lifting for you, as Jason said. So offloading the research, the drafting, coaching you to spend time where humans win, having real conversations and building relationships. And so hopefully you're seeing by now the purpose of all of these outreach strategies that we're trying to teach you is about building relationships. We want to get away from transactional selling and move to building relationships, because that's a way more effective way to do it. So outbound isn't dead, but lazy outbound is. So we want to use these signal-based AI to qualify our accounts, to identify intent, and to increase our ability to connect with people who are more likely to do business with us. So you know who, now let's learn how. You have the perfect list of signals, but what do you say when they pick up the phone, right? The trap is that most reps freeze when a prospect answers the phone, and we're going to show you how the signal is only as good as the conversation it starts. So we're going to give you some strategies there in this next session that's coming up. So that is going to be session 3, the cold calling revival. What you'll learn, the cold call opener that delivers a 7x higher connect rate, how to turn a no into a warm lead for Q3. And then the promise will be to stop dreading the phone and start owning the conversation. And so that cold calling revival session starts in just a minute here. But before we do transition to the next section, we're going to bring back up the Apollo community on School. This is a free community that you're getting access to for joining this session and joining this summit today. And so we're going to give you these 3 resources in the Apollo community. So the AI agent build along video. So you can actually watch over my shoulder as I'm building an Apollo AI agent that detects buying signals. Also going to show you the trigger-based script vault, the 3 different scripts, and all the prompting strategies that Jason has shared and built for us in these 3 pages here. Also, you're going to get access to a sales community, right? So other Apollo users, top sales leaders who are sharing real-time signals, wins, and losses. So scan that QR code, join today. This is free, and all of the resources from this summit are going to be available in School. Any other questions, guys, on signal-based AI from the chat or from the Q&A? Michael, you seen anything that you want to speak to or answer?
No, not specifically. I think Rob Podzinski had a good question there for Jason. I think on us getting to be more and more agentic at Apollo, and that's kind of what everybody's trying to chase. Jason, I know you might have stepped away for a second here, take a quick break, but I don't know, that might be a good, it's a pretty solid question there on how far can we take this type of a cadence? How far can you take the AI? I mean, my thought, I'm kind of, I guess, older school. It's like, hey, once you get the response, that's the goal that you were looking to mine, especially with outbound. And it can, depending on your scale, that's like the highest value is to actually meaningfully respond to a positive, positive engagement with your outreach. But, of course, the chase is how can we make it as automated to end. But Jason, anything you expand on there at all that would, I don't know, color in the picture?
Yeah, I
On
think
what-
the ultimate goal is, we all want that push button fully, that AI SDR that everybody's been chasing. We've still yet to see that actually be effective. What we are seeing teams do is being able to get all of that context delivered where they work. So if you do get a reply, do you have all the context to be able to quickly answer that and generate an opportunity off of it? So we're delivering, a summary of all the communications from that email sequence, or however many touches it took for that person to actually respond to you. We want that all summarized and delivered either in your Slack or in an email so that your team can actively, engage with that prospect and that travels with you. And we offer that to you at Apollo in two places. We've got Insight, so you'll see that before any call. And you can also get that delivered to you in Slack or email. And so we don't have it automated yet, but we've got it as close as we possibly can so that you can, make some action there.
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
knowing limitations is huge, but back to an earlier point, speed kills all deals. And if somebody does actually respond positively, having that automated, having the right person get pinged in whatever channel they were most active in, so it doesn't get just pushed as a task to be done like by the end of the day or the next day. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's definitely gonna close the loop and yeah, keep the human in the loop as active as possible.